Were you born in the early 90s? Or before that, do you have fond memories of sticking Arena Shooter of the Year on a 32 megabyte USB stick and playing it at school? Ah, those were the days. The teachers didn't know what the hell to do about it, so we gamed on hard. Most lunchtimes, and even during IT class when the teacher wasn't looking. Thank you, Windows, for inventing Alt-Tab. It wasn't just games that came in handy for, eh? You know what I mean. Fast forward to today, and if somebody tells you a first-person shooter is amazing, why is that? If you're an older gamer like me, you'll likely be speaking to some strappy young lad full of hope and a greater affinity for Jedi reflexes. They'll tell you the shooter of their choice is awesome because it has ginormous maps, or the class customization is crazy deep. Or maybe it's just the odd narcissistic pointlessness of dancing like a moron that gets their gaming rocks off. As an older gamer, you think back to those days in school. Grit your teeth, bite your tongue, your face grimaces in every direction it possibly can. Why do we older gamers do this? Well, perhaps it's to do with the fact that we have seen the games industry evolve into this overly complicated, ironically low skill ceiling world of gaming mundanity. But for those young lads, and ladettes I guess you could say, it's all they've ever known. These people who didn't exist during the FPS heydays of the 90s have a perception of all the games industry based on what it's been, well, while they've been alive, for their gaming lives. And they're unhappy if there isn't heaps of studio-ending content developed for their game, or if there isn't heaps more on the way in a few months' time. But then one day, not so long ago, a game some of us knew, but all of us loved, came out of the blue. Doom. I figured it was ironic that a game with no reloading, no walk bob, and only a bare-bones RPG mechanic to grow into was so successful. I guess if I want to make a bare-bones game, all I have to do is hire Mick Gordon to smack my soul over and over with crunchy metal and perfectly animated execution sequences, and create a beautiful ID tech engine and... Okay, it was a heck of a lot of work. The point I'm getting to here is that the mechanics in Doom's campaign was a perfect excuse to bust out those old school mechanics again, akin to the games that me and my contemporaries obsessively played at school. It was amazing, probably the first FPS multiplayer on this console generation that didn't take itself so goddamn seriously, with power-ups and special weapons dropping in on the map. A mechanic in gaming I'd only really seen survive this long into this generation in Mario Kart. And Doom and Mario Kart are oceans apart. I'm a poet and you didn't know it. But, as I'd feared, lo and behold, a few months after Doom's release, the lobbies died out. "Where's everyone gone?" I cried. It's those younger chaps again. I'm not so sure they liked this throwback to the old school. "Don't play Battlefield 1, it's shit," I cried. That's not really true. Battlefield 1's great. I just wanted everyone to come back to Doom. Their experience of this multiplayer format was not like the CODs and the Battlefields out there. It was minimalist. There weren't gigantic maps and super deep class customizations. Apparently Bethesda's attempts to create ginormous cosmetic options in Doom just wasn't enough. It was clearly a move decided upon with the younger generation of gamer in mind, which is ironic, because it turns out that Fortnite is more about how you look than how you play, and that ethos has made Epic Games sickening amounts of money. Miraculously, Doom multiplayer is now going super strong. Maybe it's to do with the Doom Eternal announcement, or how Bethesda made the Season Pass content free for everyone, getting all players on the same server. You should have just done that in the first place. Jump forward a year or so and I discover Quake Champions. First off, it's free to play. I know it didn't used to be, but it is now, so, you know, just get it. Just grab it, download it, play it, you're gonna have fun. It's only on PC, and frankly I wouldn't want it to exist on consoles, because if it did, it would be a slow, janky, depressing husk of its former self. And I'm not harping on about graphics here either, no sir. This is what I used to call a Twitch shooter, and that was before the streaming platform came out, so now if I say that it just confuses everyone. Where are the hot girls with their tits out, I hear you ask? No sir, these things are called Twitch shooters because they demand lightning fast reflexes and Jedi Master levels of accurate mouse control. That high skill ceiling is always what makes Quake Champions so goddamn rewarding. No matter how much of a badass you are in a match, there's always a bigger fish out there, someone who can just control the mouse that little bit better than you. Whereas on consoles, everyone is restricted by the limitations of a joystick, and I don't care how much of a console fanboy you are, it's a fact. You've got to agree with me on that one. It's a kind of paradigm in gaming where you'll constantly be chasing that Moby Dick of the perfect match, but it'll never come, because you can't have a perfect match without winning unfairly, leveraging the game in some way, like, cough cough, camping or quickscoping. I fucking hate those camping, quickscoping little bastards. Quake Champions is old school to the core, and it will not let you do any of that. The maps are designed in a way that camping is impossible. You try that COD camping bollocks here and you will die, over and over again. Yeah, not so MLG now, are you, chum? There's no aim assist of any kind here, which is why when you play Instagib it actually demands real skill, which then provides real satisfaction. There's no class system or loadout prep here either. You can modify what your spawning weapon is, and that's it. Trouble with games like COD is that if you take its class system and make a branching diagram out of all the different permutations of classes, it would just look like a Jackson Pollock painting. And some of those class permutations are, and I don't say this through lack of experience, inherently unfair. Oh, you've been playing the game longer than this other dude? That's cool. Here, have this auto-lock railgun of damage plus 1000. He can get by with just a water pistol, it's all good. Yeah, don't worry, he can upgrade his water pistol to shoot citric acid after a few hours. He'll be fine. Sod off. Quake Champions has none of that bollocks. You choose your hero, who has one power, with about a 30-second cooldown, which believe me is an eternity in these matches. You drop in, you find where weapons spawn, and those weapons are available to all, and they don't disappear for good after they've been collected, you know, they respawn on the spot. Two people can pick up the same weapon within the space of about 3 seconds. There's zero unfair advantage here, it's all about knowing where the weapon spawns are, getting to them, and taking it to your enemy. Zero unfair advantage from the get-go, and if you want to win, it's down to skill, and skill alone. Sounds great, doesn't it? Well, this is what games used to be like. You wouldn't win a game by an unfair advantage using a Super Whopper Nuke-em-up limited edition pre-order bonus death beam rifle. Back then, you would win because of you, and how you play in the moment. The decision by Bethesda and ID to make Quake Champions seems to be paying off too. The lobbies are always busy, which tells me there are a lot of PC gamers out there like me who are hungry for this stuff. No nonsense, minimalist, skill-based shooting. The Twitch shooter seems to be gradually rising up from the ashes of the 90s as a community-driven rebuild of Unreal is on the go as we speak, and there's actually another little-known free shooter out there on Steam called Toxic with 2 X's, just to be edgy and cool. Grab it, you're gonna have fun. It's the same kind of old school stuff. If you've been hungering for it, then Toxic is where you want to be. So remember, in this day and age, next time you hear about an online multiplayer title and your mates are there like, where's all the content? This looks empty and boring. Remember to smack them in the face, tell them to play Quake Champions, and remind them, overly deep content can sometimes just be shit. Take a look at Assassin's Creed Unity for that. Sometimes, no, a lot of the time, less is more. The games we have today aren't bad by any stretch of the imagination. If you enjoy the games that I've maybe slagged off a little bit today, that's cool. I'm not saying they're any worse for what they offer. Play those games, more power to you, and I'll probably play them too. If you wanted to bounce back at me with, oh, but Quake Champions has microtransactions and loot boxes. You see guys, I wasn't talking about marketing practices in the games industry, I was just talking about the actual game of Quake Champions. But, I hear you, it's still a valid thing to bring up, especially in this post-Battlefront 2 release world that we now live in. Tune in next time for what I have to say about all of that. Spoiler, it's nothing good. Please rate, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed, even share it with your chums. Pump up the numbers, it's all about the numbers.
I gotta pump those numbers up, those are rookie numbers in this racket.